LeBron James retiring? Or is he retiring? Or how much of this matters? Waz, I'm just going to turn it over to you. Like, what's your big read on the situation?
How do I put this? In the words of 45, that's fake news. It's fake news. That is the fakest news I've ever heard. Fake news. LeBron James ain't retiring, y'all. Like, why are we even doing this? Why are we doing this? This is the fakest news of the season. Yes, this is LeBron. And a part of it I respect. I know Justin is a middle management guy, so he might have different views of this. I respect LeBron's constant agitation of management, of being like, you guys should never be fucking comfortable. You guys should never take my greatness, my presence as a given, take it for granted. I'm going to agitate at every single turn. I respect that as like, I'm at the mercy of Jeannie Buss and her regime. Jeannie Buss, again, quietly, as I must say, one of the worst owners in the NBA. Nobody talks about it because another person who's well-connected in the media. She's never taken me to lunch, so I'm not afraid to say it. This is the only leverage that he has over his bosses. And so he does it. But we can ask Eduardo, producer, Justin, Rob, did a single one of you hear that LeBron quote and think, oh my God, he might not play next season?
I think there is a 0% chance he does not play another NBA game. Right? Justin, is it any higher than 0?
5%?
Is it 5%?
No
you never know, man.
I do know. Eduardo's on Team Robin Waz. No shot, he says.
There could be like a delay of the surgery Kyrie Irving style. Maybe like it's now LeBron taking cues from Kyrie as opposed to the other way around.
I think the only instance in which he quote unquote retires is if he takes a year off to get the foot right and then comes back to play whatever team Bronny is playing for when he gets drafted. Is that a retirement? I mean, I wouldn't really call it one. Guys sit out seasons for injury all the time. Like, I guess we'll see kind of how that plays and what the narrative around it, the explanation of it is. But the most likely outcome is he shows up in the fall or the winter. Maybe he starts the season a little late if it requires surgery and recovery. Why would we possibly think that LeBron is actually going to retire? But the genius of him doing this, and he really understands better than any player in the league that part of the game is understanding how to control the narrative when you lose. We're having a 2-track conversation. It is, though, is it not?
You're big into like the politics of press conferences today.
But look, this is the thing. It's like we're on this podcast talking. We're having the conversation. Like, is LeBron going to retire? Waz and I are telling you we don't even believe it to be true, but we have to entertain the conversation. Which means we see him creating the smoke screen. We see the smoke trailing all the way back to LeBron on the ground, banging flint and steel together to make sparks. But we have to trace it all the way back down, and we have to look at it and say, oh, we know LeBron is doing this. Why would he be doing this? And that leads us down the rabbit hole of like, oh, is their roster good enough? Oh, does he want them to retain certain guys? Oh, is he trying to put pressure on them to trade for Kyrie, to trade for Star X? LeBron in doing this gets to have it both ways. He gets to have his heroic Game 4 exit where he had as dominant a first half as we've seen from him in a long time, played his heart out, played basically every second of that game, then went on the press conference stage and told us what we should be talking about, which is one of the greatest players of all time might retire. Talk about that for a couple days.
And we're like, yes, podcast segment, let's go.
Some of us are like that, Justin. Some of us are like that more than others.
So I think I actually don't care about the retirement stuff so much as what it signals.
About his relationship with them.
That's what I'm saying, though.
No, not even the relationship to the team, but the status of the team. And we talked about this at the end of Game 3. I do feel like they hit they maxed out on the AD, LeBron plus other guys to fill around approach. And I think LeBron is keenly aware of that. Not getting a single game against the Nuggets is a pretty big indictment. The Nuggets are an awesome team. They deserve all the plaudits that they're getting, despite what these guys might tell you about my opinion about the Nuggets.
We love to hear you finally admit it.
But not even getting
guys.
game 4 with LeBron playing every minute and really going out and dying on his shield, I think was probably a signal to him that like, we need more. And I don't disagree. The problem is like, how does that happen? Because they went to great extents just to get some of these role players, almost all of whom are basically up for free agency now. And so the Lakers are caught in this pretty no-win situation where you could roll back the team that couldn't get it done this season, or you could strip it all down, try to get a Kyrie or, God forbid, a Trae Young in there. But even that is like painfully difficult because those guys all make a certain amount of money that's going to make it almost near impossible. And so I'm like, I understand if LeBron's point was to point toward like, we need to do something more, I get it. But I also wonder, like, what can they do? Like, it is an impossible situation.
I mean, wouldn't it be nice if there was competent management over there, who you trusted to deal with this in a manner that would make sense and keep the team on solid ground? I don't think anybody trusts, as much as we want to be like, wow, Rob Pelinka, he really fixed this thing during the trade deadline. It's like, he's the one. Yes, go ahead.
I think the moves that the Lakers made on the fringes were excellent.
Yeah.
I think like the fact that Austin Reeves, a former two-way guy, is now like a core member of this team who could reasonably get like...
That's a big deal.
Like a $20 million a year annual value contract, I think is like a godsend. Like we want to talk about Herb Jones, like getting picked in the second round and like what an amazing pick that was. This is way better because this is like a core guy now. Like, so I do think they made a lot of moves that made this team the best possible version it could be. But to your point, like, yeah, the background and like some of the previous moves have been pretty spotty.
Well, even in his exit interview, Anthony Davis was saying like, we don't even know what our team is going to look like. Or sorry, it might have been his post-game interview. Just like, there's so many guys on this team who are free agents. We have no idea what the roster is going to look like. But when you run down that list of free agents and you think about like, how much would it hurt to lose a Lonnie Walker? How much would it hurt to lose an Austin Reeves? I think, you know, the degrees to which that would actually like pain the Lakers may vary, but they're all guys that they found either like on the scrap heap for minimums, in trades for second round picks, for the mid-level exception. Like, They are doing what teams in their position need to be doing, given all the constraints that Justin talked about.
Austin Reeves cannot go anywhere. That is
no.
That is not that's not even a conversation. I think Rui has shown that he's a guy.
Yeah.
He's done it in big possessions, big games. He's a guy. And Dennis Schroeder was literally your only point of attack defender who wasn't LeBron or AD. Like, to me, those are the guys I look at and be like, all right, man, these guys can't really be moved. The rest of that, I'm looking at you, D'Angelo Russell. Do I really need that?
Sure.
I certainly don't
at that
believe
point,
so.
If you're bringing back Reeves and Hachimura and you're saying like, forget the rest, or maybe like Schroeder. Like, first of all, Schroeder's going to need a bigger contract because he was playing on the minimum on a make good deal. Like, you're now cap constrained to potentially only the mid-level exception. And you basically need to do all the work that you did previously yet again. You need to keep finding guys for minimums on two ways, whatever. And that's like kind of the problem with teams that are so top heavy. This is even before we get into all of the salary cap constraints that are coming in the new CBA, which is going to make it near impossible to even have AD, LeBron, Reeves, if Reeves gets what we think he deserves. And so like, I just wonder if we're at Occam's razor here and that like maybe this is the end of a LeBron James team life cycle. Like typically in Cleveland and in Miami, that it's been 4 years. This is now going into year 6? I wonder if like a organization that wants to go all in order to support LeBron like he's used to can even function in year 6 because of the pressures and the amount of work you need to do on the fringes in order to build around him.
It is tough. I mean, if we're just going to play the LeBron hits back, because it does seem like that's kind of the way this goes, to your point about the life cycle, like this guy needs a fucking playmaker, you know? Like, they need another point guard. This is the problem with the D'Angelo Russell conversation, is they do kind of need a player like him, just not him. They need they need someone who will make better decisions. They need someone who can just like be more consistent as a shooter, who won't stop the ball, who won't be as much of a target defensively. Because we kind of saw over the course of that series, if Dennis Schroeder is your only guy, like Schroeder can be a little inconsistent himself offensively. He can be very foul prone if you're putting him in high leverage matchups. That's not exactly the answer either. And LeBron, while he can be dominant for a half at a time, like he's just not equipped to be a full-time attack the basket playmaker over the course of multiple consecutive series. So like you do need, whether it's Austin Reeves growing even into that role even more, or bringing in another guard who's going to be in this kind of platoon situation, you do need more ball handlers there. You do need more like structural playmaking help.